Several crises have set the Philippines back in its pursuit of vibrant, diverse, and resilient communities. How can companies help achieve this vision decades from now? Ben Teehankee of the Management Association of the Philippines tells us more, and he joins us live in our studios. Ben, great to see you.
Yes.
It's been more than maybe 30 years since the last time I saw you at De La Salle University. But share with us, what is MAP's Covenant for Shared Prosperity?
Yeah, so first of all, great to be with you, Rico. In November 2020, the MAP realized that if it will achieve its goals to be the Center for National Development through management, it has to help uplift everybody else. So it joined 25 other business associations, and we released the Covenant for Shared Prosperity, which is really a set of commitments of businesses to the different stakeholders of business.
What are these commitments and targets that MAP wants to achieve?
Well, the commitments are to specific stakeholders. So for example, for the employees, MAP wants to begin the dialogue on living wage and especially achieve upskilling and reskilling, especially in the age of AI. You know how we will have to struggle to make sure our people are up to par with the rest of the community. For customers, we want customers to be more empowered so that their concerns for quality products and services are listened to by the companies. And of course, for communities to have more engagement from the businesses in uplifting everybody. And the rest is true for all the other stakeholders.
What about for the marginalized kababayans in our society? Currently, according to government figures, the poverty incidence rate is still at the high double digits, 21 to 22%. I mean, how can this shared prosperity covenant help in further reducing that maybe into the low double digits or single digits? Ben.
Well, our goal is to support the government in bringing it below 10%. And the only way to do that is really to increase business activity. But it shouldn't be business as usual. It's not just all about growth. It has to be growth that connects every Filipino to that growth.
Inclusive growth.
Inclusive growth, which is why I mentioned earlier, we want to begin the dialogue on living wage. Because for the longest time, we were really speaking only of the minimum wage, right? But we know that the minimum wage is barely enough to support a family. So MAP is committed to really expanding the discussion towards living wage, really focusing on upskilling and reskilling our people so that they can be more productive and supporting the community at large.
Dialogue in living wages, why wasn't this done in previous administrations? Why is it only being started now when our poverty incidence rate has really been in the high double digits for many decades now?
Yeah, this is a very important question. And I think this is one of the side effects of the pandemic, Rico. At the height of the pandemic, the business leaders who are working very hard to create value in their businesses realized that there is really no future for business in the Philippines unless you bring everybody else along with you. We saw how vulnerable the Filipinos were during the height of the pandemic, and really this touched the hearts of our business leaders, and they said it cannot be business as usual. That's why if you talk to the leadership of MAP now, the tone has really changed, and we realize that we cannot be the basket case of ASEAN, which is going to happen unless we bring everybody else up.
And of course, Ben, we just saw this report that the government and the National Democratic Front have resumed peace talks. They want to end the armed struggle. They want to work with government for peace and prosperity. And this is the way to move forward.
This is very good news for us. As you know, Rico, we have the longest running communist insurgency in the whole world. And the only way to really address insurgency is to make sure prosperity is for everyone.
Prosperity is for everyone, but is there also a target decade? In how many years should we be able to resolve this problem of inequality in our society?
Well, we did not set a very hard target, but it will have to be not longer than 5 to 10 years. Because, in the 60s, we were the leading economy in Asia. And one by one...
We were number 2
yes.
in the 1960s,
yes.
second to Japan.
Yes, as a matter of fact. But then, as you've seen in 2020, even Vietnam has surpassed us in GDP per capita. We're not going to wait around until Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos surpass us. This is a wake-up call for us, Rico. We have to make sure that we act sooner rather than later.
Act sooner rather than later. And it cannot only be in a statement, Ben. It
Definitely.
cannot just be words. We need actions. There has to be a groundswell of support among our kababayans and all the stakeholders to be able to achieve these goals.
And this is what we're working on. In fact, yesterday we had a very important summit at the Shang. Now, we called it the Shared Prosperity Summit. And we brought together key players among the different stakeholders, and they made very specific recommendations on how to really move on this going forward, which is why I shared with you one of the recommendations for the employees is to really begin the discussion on living wage. In the past, you will never see a business association mention the living wage, Rico. So this is really a transformative moment for us.
And are people listening? Are employers listening? Is the political will there between the private and the public sector to make this happen and make it a reality?
I think we're getting there. We're definitely getting there. One of our guests was Indiame Diop, the head of the World Bank, and they're saying that we really need to bring up everybody in our society if we're to achieve our competitive goals. So it's really a matter of survival for us.
Matter of survival, and it also has to start from the grassroots.
Definitely.
Especially the education in prep, in grade school, high school, in the universities. Everyone really has to get involved here.
As a matter of fact, MAP is in the forefront of dealing with the stunting issue. As you know, the stunting issue, the hunger among our young people is affecting their capacity to do schoolwork. And again, this is an area where the business leaders realize that we have to participate and help. Before, you would never hear a business association getting involved in malnutrition. But now we realize that only a well-fed group of young people can supply business in the future. So MAP is on the forefront of that.
And with inclusive development, we will see less talented and skilled Filipinos leaving the country, and they will stay in the Philippines and help
Definitely.
in the growth of the economy.
It's actually an embarrassment for us that our leading export is really human resource, Rico. More than 10 million people are working abroad, and our goal is to really grow the local economy so that all of these people can come back. We have to grow our domestic economy, but the only way to do that is to send the signal that our growth is inclusive. Otherwise, people will prefer to work abroad because they will say, we will not be rewarded here. And this is something we really need to reverse, and MAP is pushing for this.
Ben Teehankee, Vice Chair of the MAP Shared Prosperity Committee. Thank you so much for your insights.
My pleasure, Rico.